Hi everyone, John Cottrell here of MBODY Yoga. This is Soft Flow Yoga. This is a 60-minute gentle yoga practice. Thanks for joining me. For our practice today, we're going to be focusing on our legs and specifically the outer thigh area. I tend to get really tight IT band right through here, and so we're going to be doing some stretches that should start to release and relieve that part of the body, especially if you have a tendency to get tight kind of through this area. And it might even affect kind of into the gluteus medius area too, kind of the side glute space. So here are the props that we're going to be using. Of course, we like to have something soft to sit on and kneel on. That's your blanket or folded towel. We will need a strap today or something that might resemble a strap. Okay, it could be a belt or a jump rope, something like that. I've got my trusty yoga strap here. And we like to use a couple of yoga blocks. I've got mine right here. If you don't have blocks, you can use some hardbound books like a couple of dictionaries. And here's my yoga bolster. Sometimes I use this. Usually like to prop up my legs or something at the end of practice, but this is a nice tool to have even just to sit on or lie on to give you some little elevation, whether it's the upper body or the lower body. So a big pillow or a yoga cushion. Alrighty, and you can see I also have my chair over here. I'm going to set it off screen in a moment. But just something that you can use for a little bit of balancing. It could be a wall, it could be a table, a chair. So I'll be dragging this back in when we get ready for some of the work that's going to be focusing again on our outer thighs, outer legs, or the IT band area. All right, let me just move my chair over there. And we will start in seated. So find a comfortable seat. You can sit on your bolster or a pillow or folded blanket or towel. Whatever feels comfortable for you, just as long as you can feel the nice extension of your spine, sitting up as tall as can be. Feel free to close your eyes for this portion of your practice. You can also just keep your eyes open, and if they are open, just gaze forward or downward. For the first few moments, let's just come to stillness. Becoming very still in your body. And begin to listen to the sound of your breath. Breathing in a way that you can hear your breath. And if that means turning up the volume of your breath, go ahead and do that. Slow breaths in and out. A wonderful way just to become more present and connected. To fully arrive in this moment as we prepare for our moving practice together. And just to bring a little bit more energy and awareness to your breath, when you breathe in, just feel the lengthening of your spine. You might find yourself sitting up a little taller. And with that inhale, feel the expansion in your lungs. Then when you exhale, you're going to draw your navel in towards your spine. Feel that light contraction of your abdominal muscles. A way to connect to your center body. As we move through our practice, this is something I don't always say, but when we move and flow and really connect to our poses, we want to feel like we're moving inward with each exhale. We're drawing the belly in. It really just helps to support the body, helps us with balance, strength, alignment. Just moving towards your midline, your spine, your center. Again, breathing in, feel the lengthening of that midline, your spine, sitting up a bit taller, expanding through the lungs, opening up of your heart space. Your exhale, connecting abdominally, navel to spine, the abdominal lock. And just take 3 more breaths like this. These full, energetic breaths, feeling more mindful and connected. Let's add a little movement here. When you're ready, inhale and extend your arms out and up into the air. And just treat it like a nice stretch as you reach up towards the ceiling. And exhale, extend your arms outward as if you're going to touch the walls on either side of you. And let them float back down to your side as you finish the exhale. Do that again. Inhale, reaching out, energetically reaching across the room. And then eventually up towards the ceiling as if you're going to touch the ceiling. And exhale, spread your wings, reaching outward, nice energy in your arms, right back down to your side. Go ahead and continue to breathe and move at your own pace. So you don't necessarily need to follow me, just follow your breath. And this can be done with eyes opened or closed. As you're moving in slow motion, awareness of the sensations in your body, your extended arms, energy in your hands and fingers, that reaching sensation here at the top. Notice what's happening in your shoulders, down through the sides of your body. When your arms come back down, maybe your arms relax, your shoulders relax. Your shoulders dropped down away from your ears. Again, reaching into the air, lengthening through the sides of the body. In the exhale, don't forget to draw your navel inward toward your spine. Now go ahead and finish the breath that you're on and take 2 more breaths. Going at your own pace. And when you're complete, just let your arms relax down by your side. Your hands can just rest in your lap. You might even take a moment just to roll your shoulders, just checking in. Notice how they feel today. While still seated, go ahead and take your hands behind you and just prop yourself up onto your fingertips. Feel the shoulders either roll back or kind of pull back or squeeze towards your midline, your spine, squeezing the shoulder blades together so you do feel an energy, some effort in your upper back body. You might even tip your chin up just a little bit, not to strain the neck, but really just to provide a little bit more space in your chest and lungs. Here we go. Inhale, just press into the ground with your fingertips. Breathe in deeply. Feel that expansion of the lungs. You might even feel a stretch quality across your chest from shoulder to shoulder. The exhale, draw belly in towards spine, and if you're able, squeezing shoulder blades together, just finding that midline. Again, breathe in, energy of the hands rooting into the earth. Feel that energy even shoot up through the arms to your shoulders. Spread, open the lungs. Exhale, navel to spine, shoulders draw back. Just take 2 more breaths in this back bend that we've created some energy. And then go ahead and lower your chin so your neck is neutral, and you can walk your hands toward yourself until you're sitting up tall. You can bring the hands around to the front, arms relaxed at your lap. And shake out the shoulders if you'd like. That was our back bend. Let's take our forward fold. If your legs are crossed here, let's go ahead and uncross the legs. Come to cobbler's pose or bound angle pose, where the soles of the feet are here, pressing together. This is a great hip opener, one of my favorites. And if you'd like, you can just use some props like your books or blocks, even some small pillows, just underneath the legs so they can relax opened here. Scoop up the toes, or if you feel like you're leaning over to scoop up the toes, you may want to hold on to your ankles or shins at first so you can sit up as tall as can be as we begin. Now, inhale, feel like you're growing even taller, more length in the spine. Exhale, draw belly in, really for support as we prepare the body to move, hinging forward just a little bit, leading with your heart and chin. And now we are at a new angle, not very far though. Keeping the spine as straight as possible. Let's do that again. Inhale, feel lifted as if you're lifting your torso up out of the pelvis. Exhale, draw belly in. Again, more support as you hinge forward a tiny bit more. Hold. Now you can stay just like this if you'd like, or continue to fold a little bit more without forcing the body. We want the body to respond nicely to each of the movements we guide it into. Really trying to avoid stressing or overwhelming the body. You can even lower your chin and round your back a little bit, and it creates a bit more space if you want to fold a little bit more. This will create some flexion or stretch sensation in your back. That might feel good, in addition to the lengthening and stretch that's happening in the inner legs. And remember, we're going to be focusing on the outer legs in our practice, but this pose really targets the inside. 2 more breaths in our forward fold. Now if your back is rounded and chin lowered, I'm going to lift the chin a little bit to re-extend through the neck and eventually through the spine. And then hinge your way back up to seated, even pressing your hands into the ground to assist your own body as you sit up tall. We'll come to stillness. Hold here for a moment. Take a breath. If you're using these props, let's just set them to the side here. Maneuver your way to hands and knees. Take your time. Maybe spread out your blanket or towel here to kneel on, hands and knees in this tabletop posture. Ready for cat and cow. That flowing segment here. We'll inhale, lift head and heart, arching the back. The belly kind of relaxes and drops as the pelvis tips back. Exhale, tuck the pelvis under or tailbone under, pulling belly button up towards spine. You get a natural rounding in the spine, chin to chest. That's cat. Let's reverse it. Tip the pelvis back, belly drops, heart opens, arched back. Exhale, round it all out. Go at your own pace, taking your time to really experience what's happening in the body. I think this is a wonderful way to maintain mobility throughout the spine and the pelvis. Finish the breath that you're on. Take 2 more breaths. Pause in a neutral position here, a tabletop posture. We're going to do another pose while we're still on hands and knees, but let's rest the hands for a moment. You might want to tuck your toes behind you and just sit back to what I call half hero, meaning you don't have to sit all the way back and down. You just want to be able to set your way back to get off the hands. That way you can circle the wrist here, wiggle your fingers, or do that gentle pulse of the back of the hand into your blanket or towel. I'll do it 2 or 3 times very gently just to get that counter movement in the hands. Since we're going to be working the outer leg here and kind of working in the outer hip area, let's do a stretch there. So what you'll do here is come back to hands and knees. You'll bring the legs together. I'm actually going to turn to face you for this. Okay. Bring the legs together. I'm going to move my hands a little farther apart. Actually, you might need to do that for a little bit of balance. And with the right hand way out to the side, I'm just going to lean my hip over to that right side. I'm just kind of sitting in that side. And for me, I feel a gentle pull. For me, it feels good, but you can kind of adjust the sensation of how deep you want to go here or how long you want to stay here. But kind of getting into that, again, the glute area, gluteus medius, and that's kind of the outer side of the glutes there. And starting to get some stretch along the outer leg. You may not feel much there, at least I don't, but at least getting into this hip area. Let's come back up to center. I'm going to step my left hand out to the side and then sit over into the left hip. You can even kind of massage that, meaning I'm just kind of shifting forward and back gently and slowly, just to kind of massage in that area. And certainly breathing deeply. Again, you might just be holding this or creating that gentle movement for the massage, or maybe you have completed the pose and you've come up out of it. Again, paying attention to what your body is feeling, what it's sensing. When you start to feel the body react or feel stressed or overwhelmed, that's your cue to perhaps come out of the pose, or at least soften the pose. All right, coming up out of this now. Let's crawl off the blanket if you're still on it. And set it to the side. Let's get set up for our downward facing dog. If you need to, since we're on our wrists again, you can do that quick press, which I'm going to do right here at the moment. So, since we'll be back on our hands in downward facing dog, so we'll do a quick counter pose. Now hands back out in front, spread out your fingers pretty wide here. Press into the mat to flatten the palms. Push to feel energy and strength in the arms. Tuck your toes. Let's do one more cat-cow flow here. The inhale is the cow, arching the back, that back bend feel. Exhale, round it out. Hold cat for a few seconds so you can lift your knees and then hips into the air and experience the extension of the spine. Keep the knees very bent, hands press firmly into the ground, hips lift. Now, looking straight down at the ground, you're going to walk or step both feet forward, perhaps just to the center of your mat, at least until your feet are flat on the ground, and then slide your fingertips toward your toes. Here's our forward fold. We're going to inhale, slide the hands up the legs, maybe just to the knees or just at the shins, and hold here. Just feel that you have a flat back, like you're level, like a table. Keeping the knees very bent here. You can even sit a little bit. Experience the tailbone and hips shifting or feel like they're moving towards the wall behind you. Your gaze is downward, so the neck is long, so you can feel the very top of your head lead you forward. Now shifting your weight into your heels a bit more, bend your knees, sitting down into a lower chair as your chest lifts. This should lighten the hands so you can take them out to the side, spreading your wings really for balance. Pressing feet into the floor so you can stand up nice and tall. Straight legs, reach up into the air, both arms, extended mountain pose. Then exhale, bring your arms down to your side. And we've arrived in mountain pose. Take a moment here to circle the shoulders if you'd like. I have a little shoulder tension, so I know this feels really nice for me at the moment. All right. Let's do our forward fold and come right back. That's our half salute to the sun. Starting in mountain pose, shoulders rolled back and down, relaxed, arms just down by your side. Here we go. Inhale, sweeping your arms out and up into the air. Exhale, spread your wings for balance. Bend your knees. Feel like you're sitting back into a chair that's behind you. Your weight shifts into the heels. Hopefully that allows you to move slowly, folding, letting the arms drop down, your head will relax, and maybe you'll touch your toes. Inhale, slide your hands up the legs, pausing here when the back is flat and level with the ground. More bend in the knees if you need to. Extending through the spine as we hold for a couple breaths in this half forward fold. Just one more breath. Then shift your weight into your heels, bend your knees, tip up, spread your wings, drive heels into the floor, straighten your legs, grow tall, reaching into the air, and exhale, arms right back down to your side. Very good. And maybe circle the shoulders again. Even to the other parts of the arm, your joints, your elbows, maybe some circles here. Let's get into the wrists. Circle the wrists, wiggle your fingers. Alrighty, let's do our variation of Warrior 1. I'm going to bring in my chair, okay? Because the first part we'll just do as we've done before, but then we're going to be doing a pose that's going to start getting into that outer leg. And you may want to have something to balance with. Let me quickly adjust my mat, and we'll get right to it. All right, standing at the top of your mat, and maybe you're standing in front of a wall, or table, or chair for the second portion of this. Let's be sure we have some softness in the knees, so bend the knees, keep them soft. Start shifting your weight into your right foot, root strongly down into the floor. Feel the energy in the leg and foot. Feel tall as you inhale. Exhale, draw belly in. You're going to hinge forward, and if you happen to have the wall or table right there, you can place your hands on it if you want, and just start stepping the left foot back, just like this. The foot is flexed, so the heel is lifted just for a quick moment. And we're going to turn that foot outward and then shift back so the whole foot's on the floor and the whole body shifts back. We have a nice little bend in this front knee, but not a lot of space between the feet for our lunge. Hands on hips. Push your pelvis downward, like this motion, pushing down while your spine grows tall, right there. Then turn, so you're mostly facing forward. Just created some space in that belt line. Now we're going to inhale, extend the arms up into the air. Exhale, bend elbows to 90 degrees. And so this is our variation of Warrior One. We'll take some deep breaths to feel that nice expansion in the lungs. And we're going to get ready for that outer leg work. 2 more breaths right here. Go ahead and inhale and extend the arms straight up into the air. Exhale, bring your arms down and then hands to hips. We're going to shift the weight forward into this front foot. If you have that wall or table or chair in front of you, go ahead and place the hands out on that. Because we're going to rise up on the tiptoes back behind as that left foot, lifting the heel and even lifting the foot. So as best as you can, you're going to turn your foot so all 10 toes are pointing forward here. And as you're able, placing the foot down maybe 5 to 6 inches behind the front foot. It's as if you're standing on a balancing beam. I need to drag my chair in a little closer here. Alrighty? Now we don't want this sensation where I've got all the weight forward and that back heel is lifted. We're going to shift back, place that heel down. Alrighty? Again, feeling like you're on a balancing beam. That's why you might want to have something to hold on to out front for balance. Now, for me, I don't feel a lot happening in the outer legs. You're going to feel this probably more on the right side. In order to start to feel something here, you might need to fold. So you might need to adjust your body a little bit, maybe away from the wall or table, so that you can start to lean forward. Just like this. Now, here's some things that are happening. We want to keep the legs nice and straight. Okay, one foot directly in front of the other. I'm folding forward. We're creating a variation of a pose called pyramid. Okay, so you can kind of see we're forming a pyramid, or even like a picture of a hieroglyphic in a pyramid. Now we also want to squeeze to midline. Now it's happening initially in the feet, trying to press towards the inside edges of the feet, both feet. Alrighty? Even the ankle bones, the inside ankle bones, squeezing to midline. Now you've got one leg in front of the other, so this midline feels very different since the feet aren't next to each other. But squeeze to center. And notice what's happening in the hips and the legs, especially as you fold. We'll take a couple more breaths. So we have some other poses that will kind of mimic this, but this is kind of the main pose. We're going to rise back up. You can even soften the knees right there. Lean forward so we can step the feet together. Balanced on 2 feet. Right here. That finishes that segment. Now if you want to, you can actually just give your hips a little massage, especially if you had a lot of sensation right there. Okay, or even just some movement in the feet, ankles, knees, and hips, even just a little hip shift side to side. Alrighty, and we'll do our series on the other side. Mountain pose, starting with our Warrior One variation. Softness in the knees, shifting weight into left foot, root down. Inhale, get tall up top. Exhale, connect to center, lean forward a little bit and start tapping the right foot back. Remember, it doesn't have to go back too far. Heel is lifted, foot flexed. We're pivoting, pressing the right heel into the floor, shifting weight to center. Left knee is bent, everything is pointing forward as far as that knee and set of toes. Hands on hips, pushing downward. And inhale to get tall up top, making space in the belt line so you can turn to face forward. Inhale, reaching both arms up into the air. Exhale, bend elbows right there to about 90 degrees. Let's hold for several breaths. A mild lunge, a little bit of balance work. Arms extended, but we've got the elbow bend. An opening of the heart. You even want to feel like your chest is kind of moving forward, opening up. One more breath. Then inhale, shoot the arms straight up. Exhale, bring the arms down, hands to hips. Leaning forward, putting some weight into the front foot. Catch that wall, table, or chair. Rise up on the tiptoes behind you, heel lifting. We're turning the toes so they're facing forward. Even more forward here so we can even pick up that back foot because we're going to replace it. So it's directly behind the left foot, maybe 5 to 6 inches behind it. All 10 toes as best as you can pointing forward. We're shifting the weight back so the heel is on the floor. Okay, so just be aware if you've got weight forward or too far back, find that center. Legs are as straight as can be. Nice and tall here. I've got my hands out front so I can now easily start to fold forward. I'm already feeling this in the outer leg. You might even feel this in the hamstrings too, yes? Since the legs are straight. Deep breathing, and remember to squeeze to midline. Even just look down at the feet so you can really focus on the inside edges of both feet hugging inward. Just pressing them a little bit more firmly into the ground. And that's for the entire inside of both legs. Remembering that midline, which is your spine. You can really feel what's happening here. I think I'm feeling a little bit more in the hamstrings in this left side. But this does affect kind of the IT band or outer leg area. It might be mild or it might be very strong, just depending on how it feels for you. 2 more breaths. I'm going to hinge my way back up. Soften the knees here. Shifting weight into the front foot. Placing the right foot next to the other. Nice and tall. Finishing our sequence. Good. Feel free to massage here in the toes, ankles, your knees, and your hips if you need to. Very good. All right, I'm just going to move my chair forward here. All righty. Let's get into some more flow, starting in our mountain pose. Here we go. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Take your time. Exhale, spread your wings, bend your knees. Sit back, weight shift into the hips and heels, slowly folding with a flat back, but eventually arms will drop, the back will naturally round, your head will come down, maybe touch toes. Inhale, slide your hands up the legs to re-extend the spine, so it's long and flat. We're going to exhale and fold again, bend the knees a whole lot more, getting closer to the ground, so you can place your hands on the mat. And then start walking both of your feet back to the back end of your mat until we're in our high push-up position, plank pose right here. Bend your knees and then send your hips into the air, moving into downward facing dog. This might mean you have to tiptoe forward a little bit just so you feel balanced and secure in your pose. Be sure to spread out your fingers, press firmly into the ground with the hands, strength in the arms, soft knees, hips high. That's your down dog. All right, let's continue with the lunges. Inhale, extend right leg up. It doesn't have to lift high. Just lift it and reach through your toes. Exhale, bend the right knee, bring it in underneath you towards your chest or chin as you shift your whole upper body forward, shoulders over the wrists, setting the right foot down. Or if you can, bring the foot all the way up to the hand. This is the variation. Just set the foot down and then the left knee down so we can actually go pick up the right foot and place it up a little higher up on the mat. That's just a variation of that movement. Relifting the left knee, we'll pivot left heel to the floor. We're getting ready for the second variation of our Warrior One.
We want to make sure we got some good pressure in that back foot. Rise up to fingertips to help extend your spine long and flat. We just want to feel extra secure in that back foot so I can easily hinge from hips. I'm rising up, facing forward. We'll take the arms straight up into the air. Reach high, lunge low. Let's hold here for a moment. And this kind of gets into the hip flexor, the kind of the front of the leg, but it does affect a little bit through the outside. Okay? Let's breathe in. Exhale, turning your torso towards the left side of the room as your arms come down to parallel. I like to adjust my back foot just so my knee doesn't feel confined in that position, just like that. Warrior 2, right knee and toes pointing forward. Let's take side angles. So we're reaching forward, angled upper body, rotate the arms, reaching high, reaching low. Let's hold here for a few moments. Again, we're working on the inner legs. We're going to get into the hamstring again. Couple more breaths. Now to get into the hamstring, we're just going to shift this into triangle pose. All we're going to do is straighten this front leg as best as you can. Just going to push into the floor with that foot to extend the leg. Now if this left arm in the air is getting tired, feel free to bring it down, which I'm going to do at the moment. Even just place left hand on the hip. And let's focus a little bit on this front leg. Here's something that you can do to help stabilize the pelvis and even provide a little bit more length if you want in the hamstring. What I'm going to do is lift the toes. Can you see that I just lifted the toes and I'm driving the heel or pushing the heel of the foot more strongly into the floor, which has fired up the leg and it stabilized the hip. And I can actually tip over a little bit more and it doesn't feel like I'm straining the leg or the hip. This is just an optional movement. Remember, this is soft flow. You don't have to go too deeply at all. But you can do this regardless in soft flow or any other yoga class. Stabilizing the pelvis is a good thing to do. Lifting the toes, drive the heel into the floor. Let's bend the right knee again, providing some leverage so we can come back up to a warrior 2. I'm just going to re-extend the arms. So here's our warrior 2. Coming out of the pose, this left arm is going to flip up and around. Okay? To our windmill, bringing hands down to the floor. And slide the right foot back into plank pose. There we are. Let's take a quick break here. Bring the knees to the floor. Tuck your toes. Sit back half hero. If you'd like, a little pulse of the wrists. There we go. Let's come right back out to hands and knees. Spread out your fingers. This is another great way just to make sure we've got our hands in the right place. Let's lift the knees, lift the hips, downward facing dog. Ready for the other side. Inhale, let's lift the left foot, extend the leg back behind you, straight and strong. With the exhale, bend your left knee, bring it in underneath you towards your chest or chin, shifting body forward. Now maybe you can get the foot up to the hand. If not, just set the foot down wherever. Set the right knee down, and then we'll use the left hand and just go get it. Pick up the left foot, place it up a little higher. Relift the right knee. There we go. Pivot right heel to the floor. If the weight is forward, we're shifting the weight back, putting pressure in that back foot so we feel balanced. Rising the fingertips can help. This will also help you to extend your spine out long over the left thigh. Hinge from hips, rising up nice and tall, face forward. That breath also helps us to extend the arms in the air. Exhale, lunge, and hold for a moment. Notice what's happening in that right leg that's extending back behind us, especially in the right hip flexor region. We'll breathe in. Exhale, go ahead and open this up to your warrior 2. Arms to parallel. I'm making my adjustment with my foot so my knee feels more open and spacious there. Here comes side angle, reaching forward. Rotate the arms. Feel free to stay up nice and high, which I am at the moment. I'm high enough where I can even place my left hand on my thigh. You can go down a little lower where your arm is on the thigh, or you might be reaching with a straight arm. You don't have to touch the ground here, but if your arm is straight, just brace it against the inner leg. Okay, we're getting ready for our triangle pose. We're staying tipped over, but we're going to straighten the left leg. Just like this. You can lift the toes, drive the heel into the floor, feel how the leg fires up. supports the hip. I'm going to bring my right arm down just for reasons of relaxing that shoulder, stabilizing the pelvis. I'm even tipping over just a tiny bit more. I think I went a little too far right there. I think I went past my 70% working mark. So I released it just a little bit so that my body doesn't stress out. Remember to really listen to your body. Those subtleties. I think the yoga really helps us to pay attention to all those subtle parts of ourselves. Deep lunge, bend the left knee quite a bit for leverage as we come back up to Warrior Two. You can re-extend the arms. Here comes our windmill. Right hand up and over, turn and fold, hands down to the mat. Rise up onto your tiptoes behind you. Strong press into the floor with the hands. So you can slide or step the left foot back. There's plank pose. Hold here for strength. And we're going to set the knees down. Take one more half hero. A little stretch for the wrists. And we're going to take a seat. Just sit off to the side here. Swing the legs around to the front. Let's get into our back bend, and we're going to do some more hip work and outer leg work. Make sure you've got your books or blocks. It can even be a soft pillow or even a nice firm cushion. Okay, that can work as well for our supportive back bend. So you're going to lie down. Feel free to hug the knees into chest. Give a little massage here. And then we'll set the feet onto the floor. Breathe in, fill up your lungs. Exhale to empty the belly. Eventually lifting your hips high enough so you can slide your books or blocks underneath you. Get them in the right spot. And just take a seat. Adjust your feet, adjust your arms. So you can just comfortably hold for several breaths. Allowing the whole front side of the body to open and release. Deep breaths here. Good reconnection to breath after all the other movements we've been doing. Sometimes we can lose sight of the breath and get caught up in the movement and am I doing the pose right? And those kinds of thoughts. But when we come to stillness, we can clear those thoughts. Take deep breaths, returning you to the present moment. 2 more breaths. After the second breath, just press firmly into the floor with the feet so you can lift your hips, remove your blocks out from underneath you, set them to the side, come all the way down to the ground, hug the knees into chest. Now we're going to come back up to seated. You can certainly rock your way up to seated or roll to your side, which I'm doing. Roll to your side and press yourself up to seated. All right, we're going to stay seated. Have some space out front so you can stretch out the legs like that. Now if you need some padding, you might want to sit on your blanket or towel. I'm going to bring in my blanket here. It doesn't have to be too thick. I just like to have a little something a little bit softer to sit on. And you'll need your strap. All right, first let's just take the strap or belt or whatever you've got here. Let's wrap it around both feet. We're just going to do a very gentle seated forward fold, not too far, just to get a little stretch in the hamstrings. Let's hold on to the strap here. You can bend the elbows. Your arms can just relax by your side. Be sure you're sitting up nice and tall so you have a nice right angle in the body. Flex the feet here. Even feel like your heels are moving forward. Hold for a breath. As you inhale, just a little tug of the strap to help you sit up much taller. Exhale, pull belly in, another tug of the strap to hinge forward. Just until you start to feel stretch and lengthening through the hamstring. You might even feel this in the glutes a little bit, perhaps even in your calves. But not needing to go too far, because we want to hold this. Let's see if we can hold this for 10 breaths. Just count on your own. Maybe you've done 4 breaths by now. And just continue. Just hold, not needing to go any further. Even if you are creating space, just stay right where you are so the body can just get used to this place. Finishing. And then we'll go ahead and relax. You can rise back up. Let's release the strap just for a moment. Let the knees bend, even shake them out a little bit and get the feet involved. Now we're going to kind of do the same thing, but what we're going to be doing is we're going to be stacking the legs, just kind of mimicking what we did in the standing position when we were in our pyramid pose. We're just going to kind of do this in a standing posture. So let's start by wrapping the strap around the bottom of the right foot, and let's flex both feet. Now for a little balance and support, you might want to take your left hand behind you and just kind of lean back a little bit, but pushing into the ground so you can stay nice and tall in the spine. But you have a bit of an angle in the upper body. You don't have to be necessarily straight up. We will eventually, but you can lean back to begin. Because what we'll do with feet flexed, you're going to pick up the right foot, the one that has a strap on it, swing it over so the heel can actually just touches or just rests very lightly on the tiptoes. Okay? So they're touching. Okay? And then as you're able, lifting up the upper body, I'm even going to bring my left hand to the strap, kind of drawing myself up and forward. Now I'm starting to really feel this. We're going to add a little bit more to this in a moment. These are deep sensations. You can always soften or even come out of the pose. This is very different from what we typically do. One more breath, nice and tall, slightly hinged forward. I'm going to soften, lean back, catch myself in my left hand. Stay in the pose, but all we're going to do, just to give it a little bit more fire, is just pick up the heel. So there's a few inches between the heel and your toes here. Okay? And if you're able, maybe coming up towards it. And I'm also going to, since this leg is free from the bottom foot, I'm swinging it more to my left, crossing the midline. I've crossed where my spine is. Okay, my foot's on the other side of my spine. Use that hand behind you for a little support. Okay, we're going to do this seated. We're also going to do this lying down in a moment. Okay, again, you may not feel a whole lot in the outer leg, but yes, something is happening. Okay, let's bring it back, crossing the midline, back to its normal side. Let's release it. Let's relax it, especially the hands that we're holding onto that strap. Okay, shake it all out. Release that tension. Okay, that's all that we're doing. We're going to get the strap around the left foot. Got a good hold there. Nice and tall initially. Right hand behind, lean back. Flexed feet, picking up the left foot. Bring it over so the heel is just resting very lightly on the toes. You can stay just like this. If you want a little bit more sensation, lifting up. I'm just pulling the strap basically to help me lift up towards it. Now I'm feeling this in the hamstring and the outer hip a little bit. Mostly my hamstring. My left leg isn't as stretchy as my right. Again, maybe 3 or 4 breaths is all you really need here. Just listening to the body. If it starts to stress out on you or it's moving into that reactionary stage, you can start to soften the pose. I'm going to lean back again. I'm just picking up the heel a few inches away from the toes here. You can stay just like this or lift up. Okay. Now imagine we were standing. Okay. If we just kind of tip this over. If I was on my feet, we're mimicking just what we did. Okay, standing, leaning over our chair or table. So we're in a forward fold with legs straight. Now I'm going to cross that midline even more. So my left foot's crossing the midline over towards the right side of the room, just kind of crossing the legs here, getting more in that outer leg space. 3 more breaths. So this is the seated version. Let's do the lying down version because I think it's a little less effort because we don't have to worry about sitting up. Okay, let's uncross, set it down, release. Get that tension away. All righty? Keep that strap handy. Okay, perhaps sitting now in the center of your mat so you can roll back down onto your back. I'm moving my blanket out of the way. Go ahead and hug the knees into chest. Some movement here for some massaging. This might feel great actually after that sitting segment. Even circle the feet. Okay, circle through the ankles, flex the feet and point and create circles here. Now extend the left leg out onto the floor. You can even flex the foot if you want. Now, grab your strap, wrap the strap around the bottom of the right foot. Send it up into the air. It's okay if this knee bends. And don't worry if the leg isn't perpendicular to the floor. If it's out here, that's fine. We're just going to cross the midline. I'm holding, so it's my right leg, but I'm holding onto the strap with my left hand. Flexing the foot so the heel is going up towards the sky. It's just going to add some energy in that hamstring. And I'm directly just taking this leg across the body, crossing the midline. Now for me, I really feel this in the outer leg, much more so in the seated version. Now you may not feel anything, okay, and it's okay if you don't. You can always just kind of play with this. Maybe move the leg forward or back until you may have sensation. Again, you may not. It's okay if you don't, but you are lengthening. Something is happening here. Just be sure with this leg crossing the midline that your right hip is mostly touching the floor. If we go further, if you can see me, if I go too much farther like this, my right hip has come completely off the ground. This is something different. This is a twist. Very different from just sending the leg across the body until it just stops. Okay, let's uncross, bend the knee, release the strap, extend the leg, hold here for a moment so things can relax. Take a breath or two. And that's all we're doing. So it's a nice IT band, that outer leg stretch. Let's draw the left knee in, wrapping the strap around the sole of the foot, extending the leg. Remember, the right leg's on the floor. You can even flex it if you want. Don't worry about the left leg being exactly straight. Left leg is up, so we're holding onto the strap with the right hand. Now the left hand, what you could do is just place it on the floor by your side, or even on the hip, with some effort, even pressing that hip towards the floor so it doesn't go anywhere. Here comes the crossing of the midline, just sending this left leg, crossing the midline. Now for me, it doesn't have to go very far. I definitely feel this. If you need to send the leg forward or over your head or back to get sensation, do that, or even bend the knee. You want to have the experience of this lengthening effect. As my left heel is, or left foot is flexed, the heel is going up in that angle, while the left hip is going down towards the floor at this angle. So it's moving in two directions. That's the lengthening quality we're creating. 2 more breaths. Let's uncross from the midline. Let's bend the knee so we can release the strap. Set it to the side. Let's hug the knees in. Some circles of the upper body. I like to do figure 8s. Let's get back into the feet. So circle the feet, wiggle your toes if you can. Very good. Let's stay flat on the floor, but let's extend both legs in the air as you're able. Hold onto the legs with your hands if you need to. Flex the feet, and then press or push through the balls of the feet, and then point your toes. Do that one more time. Flex the feet, pushing through the heels, push through the balls of the feet, and then point your toes. Okay, we're going to take the legs. Again, the knees can be bent here, but take them wide. Take them away from each other. They don't have to go very wide or very far. Okay, just to get initial lengthening and stretch in the inner legs. One more breath. Squeezing to bring the legs together, and then cross the legs. It doesn't matter which leg is in front. Okay, crossing the legs. Just look at the legs and notice which one's in front, which one's behind, because we're going to do this again other side. I'm just kind of pushing the legs, okay? So they are crossed. Let's reopen, stretch the inner legs. We're going to do the other side. So you're going to bring them up, cross, make sure that you've switched the feet. So the other is in front. Crossing. Great work for the legs since they're suspended in midair even though we're holding on to them. This is good core work. This is getting into the hips and the outer legs. Let's uncross, bend the knees, hug them in. Circle the feet. Great. Let's do some more hip openers here. Let's do happy baby pose. This is what I've been choosing to do lately in soft flow, is rather than kicking the feet up into the air, which of course you're very welcome to do, just taking the legs wide. And my legs are just kind of resting in my hands. My elbows are on the floor, so they feel supported. But I do feel that stretch in the inner legs. A little bit more movement in the feet. Three more breaths. We'll bring the knees together. Set the feet down to the floor. Knees stay bent. Let's come to reclining cobbler's pose. So the feet, soles of the feet are touching, knees are bent, but they've fallen open gently. Now if your blocks or pillows happen to be nearby at hand's reach, you can tuck those props underneath the legs if you'd like. Just so their legs are resting on something rather than feeling like they're being pulled open, because that might feel like an overstretch. If you don't mind that sensation today, they can just be heavy and opened as they lengthen. We just won't hold it too long. About 3 more breaths. We'll bring the knees together. Hug them in towards body. Let's take a twist. Let's take the knees over to the left side while your right arm extends to the right side. Settling into this spinal rotation here. As an option, what you could do is extend the top leg. This is probably your right leg. So right now the knees are bent, we're twisting, okay? But here, if you want, just an option, extend the right leg. I'm just supporting the leg in my left hand, pushing through the heel, just again mimicking that outer thigh stretch. Now remember when I told you earlier, when that right hip in this case is off the floor, it is a twist. We're definitely in a twist. We're just adding this extra little piece for the leg extension. Bend the knee. Let's come back up to center. Pause in center so your spine can realign. And then we'll take both knees bent over to the right side while left arm extends to the left. Settle in. Now, of course, you can just stay just like this for the twist. Deep breaths. And at some point, if you'd like, again, just an option, you can extend the left leg, that top leg. So I feel pretty good in the twist. I'm going to go ahead and extend the right leg. I'm just supporting that leg in my right hand, pushing through the heel, the flexed foot. Feeling a little bit of this in the outer hip, gluteus medius area, as we continue to engage the twist. And you can always bend the knee when you feel complete. And then finish the rotation when you feel complete. Come back to center, a little massage. Go ahead and set the feet onto the floor and just pause for a moment. And from here, just decide what you would like to do next. If there's any other movement, a flow, a posture that you would like to do that we have not done, together, but your body is suggesting that you do it because your body needs it at this moment, feel free to move into that pose. Otherwise, just go ahead and move into Shavasana, extending the legs out front, just lying flat on the ground. I think I'm going to use some support. I'm going to lift myself up, grab my bolster. So that's another thing you can do, is just get the props that you need for your Shavasana practice. You might use a blanket to rest your head on, your pillows to elevate the legs. Just want to be able to find a very comfortable place. Fully release and relax. Of course, this is when you have completed all your other movements and poses. Find that quiet, comfortable place. Close your eyes and take your journey inward. Slow, steady breaths. Continue to pay attention to your breathing. You'll use it as a nice anchor, especially if your mind begins to wander and you're beginning to think of other things. Return to this anchor of breath. Take a deep breath to bring you back to this moment. Feel free to stay here as long as you'd like, especially if you've found a very comfortable and peaceful place. Go ahead and stay here, even as I end the practice. You can just stay here just as you are. When it is time to move, start with breath. Move the breath. Just take 5 deep breaths. Feel how it expands your entire body, freely moving through your entire body, bringing you a new sense of energy. And also, as you're breathing deeply, feel movement return to your body. And after your 5th breath, moving in slow motion, roll onto either side of your body. And then slowly guiding your way up to seated. And feel free to sit on your pillow, a blanket, or a block. Return to that extended spine. We did work today where we were crossing the midline. At the beginning of practice, we were drawn to the midline. So do that again, nice and tall here.
Your hands can just rest in your lap or bring hands to heart center. Take one more breath in and out. And as we come to the close of our practice together, we bow saying, Namaste.